Mr. President. Were you
Buenas-
able to
buenas
watch
noches.
the Pacquiao-Marquez fight? And what message would you like to give to Pacman and to the Filipino people following his victory, which others say was not so convincing?
Well, sa totoo lang napanood ko, bago kami tinawag na lumabas, yung mga interview kay Pacquiao, kay Marquez, yung kay Joe Frazier, lahat na lang maliban yung pagpasok na ng ring. Natapos ko naman yung mga national anthem bago kami pinatawag. So nagtanong ako tapos itong hapunan kung ano nga naging resulta. At yung, di ba, ulit no? Tandaan na natin sa nanggaling si Manny kung paano niya hinubog ang sarili niya para maging isang kampiyon at paulit-ulit na kampiyon sa napakaraming weight category. So, imbis na, di ba, meron mga iba na humahanga sa mga taong nakakatsamba, siniswerte. Dito talagang pinagpursige siya para maabot ang kanyang kinaabutan at huwag natin tatagalin kay Manny yun. So, kasama tayo na sambayanan, natawagan ko na siya kanina at pinuri ko siya, pinuri rin niya yung kanyang kalaban. Sabi niya magaling si Marquez. At siyempre, masaya siya, nanalo siya. At masaya naman ang sambayan ng Pilipino ni ating idolo, nagtagumpay dito sa laban na ito.
Let me follow up on that, Mr. President. In his interview with Piers Morgan yesterday on CNN, Coach Freddie Roach said that Manny Pacquiao is even more powerful than the President of the Philippines. I just want to get your thoughts about that.
In boxing, most probably. But, so, and of course, that part of that is hyperbole and hype leading up to the fight. And let us take it away from the coach. No? Freddie Roach has really molded Manny into perhaps the peak of his abilities. So we thank him also on behalf of the people.
What about Manny's statement? In that same interview, he said America is the best country in the world.
If that were the case, I guess he would be residing here. But he sees so much potential also in the Philippines, and he has been championing a lot of the causes that we have been also championing. And he has also been helping us address the ills that he and I and all of us have inherited.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
President.
you.
Sir, going to the issue of where we are right now, which is Apec. Sir, what transpired during your bilateral meeting with the Australian Prime Minister?
Yung pinaka-importante doon, meron tayong dalawang strategic partners na, namely America and Japan. Ngayon, yung strategic partnership talks about shared values, shared aspirations, shared problems. And we offered for Australia to consider getting into a strategic partnership with us also. Yung may note that if you take away the Millennium Challenge Corporation's help for the Philippines, yung aid, the biggest in terms of aid has been AusAid, which is the Australian arm. They've been helping us sa Coast Watch systems. There is a new grant mapping various elevations in the country kasama sa disaster risk mitigation efforts yun. There has been so much training that has been done by them, scholarships provided our people, especially in the uniformed services. So, and they have been supportive of our point, especially in the discussions with regards to the West Philippine Sea. So that is the most important thing. But more than anything, siyempre, ayaw natin magsawa yung tumutulong ng bansa sa atin. Kaya kaliwat kanan ng pasasalamat ko sa lahat ng itinulong sa atin over the years. May note also na hindi na pinapasukan yung madaling tulungan. Ang dami ng tulong sa Mindanao. Lalo yung capacity building. Ang daming inaangat para magkaroon ng, hindi lang pag nagkaroon ng katahimikan kung paano panatilihin at patatagin yung katahimikan ng mga kamta natin dyan. So partner sila dyan na talaga masigasig. So yun ang dulo nito, after everything has been said and done, parang logical na lookin natin na pumasok sa isang strategic partnership with us.
Sir, just a follow-up, dahil since you're talking about strategic partnership, was there a mention about the safety of the freedom of passage in the South China Sea?
Yung nung dumaan sa atin si Foreign Minister Kevin Rudd ng Australia noong Oktubre, siya isang, una-una, marunong siya magsalita ng Mandarin. Isa siya sa acknowledged expert sa riyon tungkol sa China. At ibinahagi niya sa atin ang mga pananaw nila sa gobyernong China. Pag-unawa rin natin na makamtan yung dulong niya, yung kaalaman niya tungkol sa topic ito. mas maliwanag kung paano tayo nakikipag-ugnayan din sa China.
What was that he shared to us, sir?
Napakarami. Sorry, hindi ko masasummarize ngayon yung lahat na na-discuss. We had like practically an hour's briefing on that. And then they had a lot of talks also with Secretary Del Rosario, his counterpart. And that was just, in effect, parang the preliminary dialogue. Pero yung tinanong natin ano ba mga naalala ko. Part of it was yung ano ba relasyon ng pag may nabasa ka sa media nila versus ano ba yung palaisipin nung gobyerno nila. Dahil hindi natin masasabing hiwalay na hiwalay yung dalawang institusyon na yan. So pag diba, yung sa lingwahe na lang, sa diplomacy para ingat na ingat kang hindi maging belligerent. No? Pagandahin mo yung tono nung sinasabi mo para mas mapalapit yung unawaan. Pag nababasa natin yung mga lumalabas doon sa mga pahayagan nila, sa media nila, tulad ng isang ipinakita sa akin, parang something about anticipate the sound of cannons or brace yourself to hear the sound of cannons ang sinusulat doon. Ngayon sa kanila parang baka hindi naman literal yun. Pero kung ikaw yung nagbabasa, tinutukoy ka, parang napapag-isip ka, gano'n ka literal ba to? So, ipinaliwanag yung nuances nga gano'n. Tapos yung sistema nga ng patakbo sa China. No? Huwag natin kalimutan kasi, at ito siguro yung critical meron ko isang talumpati na banggit yung quote kay Deng Xiaoping. Si Deng Xiaoping ang nagbukas sa China. At sabi niya, it doesn't, something to this effect, no? Sorry, hindi ko maalala yung direct quote. Pero in translation is something like, it doesn't matter if the cat is black or if the cat is white, so long as it catches the mice. So siya yung gumawa ng hybrid na system, diba? Socialist, ang lead nila socialist with Chinese characteristics. So, ang punto niyan, hindi mo masasabi isang rigid na manual yun na may step. Parang kung punta ka sa isang fast food outlet, gaano ang hiwa ng patatas, gaano katagal lulutuin, gano'n. Lahat may kahon yun. Dito, kumbaga, evolving pa rin itong hybrid na system nila. At naghahabol tayo na ma-influensya natin, maski pa paano, na tumungo dun sa kapakipakinabang para sa lahat. At hindi umabot yung, di ba, kung may nagsalita ng, ano ba yung phrase sa Tagalog, di ba, parang sobrang embellished. Hindi naman pala yun ang ibig sabihin. Tinanggap natin na literal yun. O di, kikilos tayo sa mali. So, part and parcel dun, yung experiences sila in dealing with China, yung pag-aaral na sinare sa atin. Ngayon, I can't go into all of those things. No? Medyo napaka-extensive.
Sir, what is your special invitation of Prime Minister Villar to visit us here?
Possibly, no? We're working on it. Baka middle of next year. Yung Australia, what can we learn from them directly, no, initially? Kunyari mining, how did they manage to balance the concerns of extracting the wealth from mining, preserving the ecology? How does it, marami silang experiences na nauna na sa atin. Kunyari, may mga ibang lugar na imbis na nakatuloy yung pag-exploit ng natural resources nila, nakasama na sitwasyon. Yung naiwanan yung ibang sektor, pag-angat ng currency nila. Medyo yung sa mining, okay lang. Sa ibang sektor, parang nahirapan sila mag-compete dahil nag-appreciate yung currency nila. So, paano ba na-chinart yun? Paano binalansi yung mga interest, syempre, ng mga indigenous peoples rin doon? Paano kakapasa nila nung tinatawag na carbon tax na napaka-masalimutan paglalaban doon, na ibang ito yan. Pero makakatulong sa pag-preserve ng kalikasan. Susunod naman doon, mineral resource, parang rent tax. Pero hindi pa rin lang pinapasukan yan. Papunta pa lang doon yung laban. Pero si Prime Minister Villar na nakapasa nitong carbon tax na talagang medyo talaga mahabang debate nangyari sa kanila.
Sir, bago po nagpunta dito yung delegation, we were briefed in Manila that you will have a bilateral meeting with the leader of Taipei. Sir, ano pong nangyari doon?
Teka muna, liwanagin natin, leader of Taipei. Ang nakausap namin si Dr. Lian Cheng. Hindi ko alam kung Cheng o Chang. Dapat yan. Basta sa nameplate, C-H-E-N-G. He is not a government official. He is, I think, at most the honorary chair of the Kuomintang party. But he is not a government official. Why do I have to stress that? By the One China policy rule, there are 4 Philippine government officials who cannot meet their political leaders or their leaders. That's me, the Vice President, the Secretary of National Defense, Secretary of Foreign Affairs. This is the Economic Council, parang Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, etc., etc. So we were talking, in effect, to people within the business sector and those who have a say in their economy. So ang BILAB, if we can call it that, or the talks, or the set-aside talks, were mostly on economic matters.
Sir, can you elaborate on what were discussed about what economic matters were discussed, sir, between the two countries?
Well, yung isa from our side, binanggit natin yung sa OFW, no? Merong sinisingil ang pagka-phrase ng ating MECO, placement fees. Okay, so at para sa batas yata ng Taiwan, hindi pwede may placement fees. So bringing up lang natin yung sitwasyon na kung saan ang kinikita yata ng isang pangkaraniwan na OFW natin doon yung mga $600. Okay. Yung placement fee $3,000 babayad sa broker. So lalabas yun between 5 to 6 months na pagtatrabaho niya, binabayaran lang yung placement fee na hindi dapat siningil. Ngayon, bakit umabot na 6 months? Dahil meron pang mga in-dormitory, board and lodging, etc. So parang 2 years yung kontrata, tapos parang 25% doon, babayaran mo itong placement fee na hindi raw dapat sinasagot or hindi dapat sinisingil. Bringing up natin yun from our end. At ang sagot naman nila, sisiya sa atin itong sitwasyon na ito, tiwawas to. Yung isa sa mga binanggit nila, yung visas. No? Meron silang 128 countries yata, kung hindi ako nagkakamali. Puro memory to, baka magkamali ako ng konti, pero na visa-free sila. So tinatanong, pwede ba tayo mag-visa-free rin? Sagot natin, ang kaya natin gawin ngayon, i-facilitate na mapabilis yung proseso. Ang idadagdag, yung currently yung MECO kasi kaya na i-process pag deliver mo yung application before 12 on the same day. Kung after 12, the following day. Ang dinagdag lang natin, sabi na hindi natin kaya yung visa-free status or upon arrival or upon departure. Kailangan natin ma-check pa rin, ma-preserve yung security ng borders natin. Pwede tayo mag-online na processing ng mga applications para mapabilis yung pagkuha nila. They sent something like 134 or so thousand tourists our way every year. Ngayon, yung bakit tayo tumanggi, no? Yung binanggit ko sa kanila, pag doon sa drug problem natin, for instance, karamihan ng nahuhuli, may Chinese-sounding names. No? At pag pumayag tayo doon sa Taiwan's request regarding the visa, siyempre, obligado rin tayo ibigay yung same privilege sa People's Republic. So, baka lalong humirap yung pagsisiyasat natin doon sa mga dumarating sa ating mga baybayin na karapat-dapat. So, kalinsunod na rin doon, pinag-usapan na mas may exchange sa information sa police forces natin dahil marami na rin transnational crimes tulad ng cyber crimes na nangyayari na maganda magtulungan tayo at magpalitan ng kasi mga nahuhuli natin sa Pilipinas, sa pagkaintindi ko, wala rin mga record. Wala record sa atin na may past criminal deeds. So yung pagpaulit ng informasyon nga, yung mga linkages, talagang makakatulong sa bawat isa na mabawasan itong mga scam na nangyayari on the internet amongst other things.
Sir, purely economic matters lang po ba yung diniscuss? Kasi po, di ba, ang Taiwan is also one of the claimants over some territories in the West Philippines.
Ang connection lang doon sa Spratly, tinanong namin, di ba lumabas sa dyaryo na magde-deploy silang missiles? At sagot, correct me if I'm wrong, no? Pero parang sabi nila, as far as they know, there is no such plans. Yung parang, ang dating sa amin, hindi, kasi ang binanggit natin sa kanila, pag nag-introduce kayo ng more sophisticated or more weapons into a weapon-free zone, nagtataas ng tension. So, wala sa interest. At ang pagkaintindi ko, wala silang interest na gagawin yun. Ang pagkaintindi ko sa sagot nila.
That's what you, from what you understand, but...
No, they stated categorically, we do not know of any such missiles being deployed.
Can I just make a follow-up sa Taiwan because before we leave the issue? Sir, was there an offer also when they said that they would like to have a visa-free policy? Was there a reciprocity offer that they would not they would allow Filipinos to go there without visa also?
Well, that's to be expected. Pero ang issue kasi, out of the 180 countries member of the UN or so, no, halos lahat visa-free na yata tayo, very, very liberal in the hopes of, excuse me, improving the tourism aspect. Hindi ako nagkakamali, parang isang dosena. o lampas ng konti sa isang dosena yung hindi pa natin binigyan ng ganyang status dahil nga may mga concerns sa potential impact on our peace and order situation. And siguro, intindihin nyo, ang hirap ipaliwanag sa kanila bakit ngari 180, sabi yung mga 160, 158 countries pinayagan natin. Sila yung bilang na kasama doon sa hindi natin papayagan. How do you say that in a nice way? Yan yung naging challenge ko. Mo tinanggap naman yung ating daily. Maglo-local tayo tungkol sa Hawaii. Aray. Ito, napakarami ko stylist talaga. Sensya na kayo. Manage the diminishing property roto. Pasado na ba? Ito, nagko-komentaryo pa sa akin. Wala man sinusuklay. Lalo ko matetens.
Bakit nyo kahapon na gas fields?
Okay.
Sir, nagkaroon na ng paliwanag kanina si Secretary Almendras about the area will be in Recto Bank. Sir, would you care to give additional details as to which company perhaps would undertake yung bagong development na ini-expect next year?
Teka, hindi ko maintindihan bakit bagong development. Di ba nagkaroon nga tayo ng issue doon? Ano yung pangalan ng kumpanya? Team Energy? O Energy Forum? Something like that. Forum Energy was given before our time, right? SC-72, the right for exploration, and they were mapping. That was one of the issues we had with the People's Republic of China. The contention, siyempre, number one, is Recto Bank is not part of the Spratis, which is under dispute. Ngayon, hindi ko malaman paano na dikit-dikit na biglang mag-explore na tayo dito, exploit na natin resources. Ulitin natin, yung before the 9-dash theory, Spratlys undisputed. In 2009, doon napasok yung 9-dash theory na biglang dumami yung sa taas. Kasi Palawan to, nandito yung Morris yung Spratlys, tapos nandito sa taas yung SC-72 at yung Recto Bank. Walang bago. At hindi ko maintindihan bakit hindi maliwanag yung statement kahapon. Pero ang talagang minumukahe lang natin, kailangan magkaroon ng resolution. Baka pwede, Jun, pero nga mapa. O, Rene, pwede mahiram yung mapa muna lang. Wala yung iPad. Sayang. Pero mapa muna lang. Sorry, low-tech muna tayo. Sana makita niyo. Okay. Yung misprint, West Philippine Sea to. Lahat yan, di ba? West Philippine Sea. Ito. Okay. Ngayon, ano ba yung mga contention natin? Ang Spratly is somewhere here. Ayun pala eh. Itong mga, hindi ninyo makikita, itong dots ito. Itong sulat, itong Spratly Island, ayun, dots. Yung Recto Bank, nandito. Hindi, Palawan lahat yan. Reference point natin, Palawan. Pero yung Recto Bank, tama ba? Ito, no? Dito, Recto.
The north of Palawan, sir. Northern part, northwest.
Parang the top part of Palawan. Okay. Yung pinakamalapit ng China, yung tagal na natin pinapalawan ito. Pinakamalapit nila yan, Hainan Island. O, di ba? Versus yung Palawan. Okay. Now, pag ito, kasi yung 9-dash, meron dito eh. Sana kung, ando sa, pakita no? May 9 points dito yan. Mas maganda doon sa iPad ni Rene. Sinuperimpose, ano yun eh, in 9-dash in longitude and latitude. Yeah. Effectively, lahat nito, lahat ito, yan. Sa kanila, kung paniniwalaan yung 9-dash. Ang linya natin, lahat tayo signatory sa UNCLOS, United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Sinasabi, meron tayong 200-mile exclusive economic zone. Tapos meron mga, kung mag-overlap kayo, pero 500 to. No, 500 miles away, 570 plus. No? Sa atin, 80 from Palawan. Yung 80, dodrawing ka ng 200. Yeah. Pasok na pasok yung 80. Pero yung 576, lagyan mo ng 200, hindi aabot. Yeah. So, ang sinasabi lang, kailangan tayo umusod sa pagre-resolva nung issue na sa atin, irreconcilability nung 9-dash at saka ng UNCLOS. UNCLOS parehong pinirmahan ng Pilipinas at saka ng China at ng iba pa mga bansa. Yung mga ibang bansa naman dito, di ba, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, siyempre lahat may interest na makakatawid dito ng malaya. Yun yung freedom of navigation. Siyempre kung isa na lang ang may-ari nito, parang tatawagin mo internal water. Siyempre may mga permission ka isi-secure pagtahak nito. 576 miles. Straight yun, ha? Eh, pag nag-reclaim ka, hindi naman pwede 1 inch na line, pag ganun. Yeah. Oh, yung paracel naman, inaakin ng Taiwan. Sa ba Taiwan? Ito. Oh, dito naman sila. Paracel. May contention left. Tayo dito, Spratly, mula noong 70s. So, yung party dito, after UNCLOS was 82. So, wala naman nagsasalita hanggang 09. Tapos, teka muna, bakit yung inaakin niya? Historical claim ko dyan. Nasa yun yung 9-dash. So, meron tayong 6 na paraan pwede pumunta ang mga paraan para ma-resolve ito. Kasi yung sa ASEAN, doon natin babagitin. Hindi yung hinahabol natin, kayo, magpataasan na tayo ng ano, tsaka, hindi yun ang sinasabi. Ang sinasabi na natin, hanggang hindi ma-resolve yan, parang wala nakikinabang. Wala yung tumatawid, wala yung umaangkin, wala, zero ang nakikinabang. So, importante ma-resolve ba ito? Sino ba may-ari ng alin? Sino ba may karapatan saan? Pag binanggit nila yung bilateral na, kunyari pag-exploit, yung bilateral, siyempre may royalties to. Sino in charge nung sa royalties? Pwede bang bilat yun? Sino bang, kaninong patakaran sistema ng paghuhusga? Kunyari, may nagbangga ang mga barko, nagdemandahan. No? Eh, pareho kayo nag-exploit, hindi maliwanag o hindi, tinanggap nyo pareho na walang may sovereignty dito. Sino, kaninong batas ang iiral? So para sa atin, hindi practical yun. Ang minumukahin natin, lahat ng mga bansa, at least yung umaangkin muna, eh magkasundo, kaya multilateral. Di ba? Pag lahat tayo, alam klaro kung ano-ano yung parte natin dito sa jigsaw puzzle na mangyayari. Di ba? Walang alitan. Kung pati na yung taas mayaya yung mga nakikitawid dito, na magkakaroon ng kapanatagan ng loob nila, na makakatawid pa rin silang malaya-malaya. Hindi pwedeng hintuin na isang bansa lang. O di nakakatulong sa pag-agat ng lahat. Yun ang minumukhay lang natin doon. Tapos nasasayangan tayo na kumukuha tayo sa ating bansa, kumukuha tayo sa Middle East ng ating crudo. Biglang may natural gas tayo dito. Meron dito, meron doon. Maraming lugar actually. Lalo doon, meron din. Kung nagagamitan natin ito, napapakinabangan natin. Tapos yung excess natin, bebenta sa kanila.
Yan ba yung same place na sinabi niyo kahapon doon sa forum? You're referring to North...
Yung sinabi lang natin kasi sa dispute, sarado ko na. Medyo nangawit ako konti. Yung sinabi ko lang kahapon also was, isa sa mungkahin natin, pwede pa tayo magkasundo na yung may pagtutunggali tayo under dispute. Sige, magtalo tayo dyan. Pero huwag na natin dagdagan yung hindi natin pinagtatalunan. Hindi na dapat kadamay yung hindi pinagtatalunan. Kaya lang, yung politiko, napaka-importante nun eh. 1982 yung UNCLOS. 2009, bigla naalala yung historical claim. Hindi natin inaaway sila. Pero mahirap talagang tanggapin na yung UNCLOS, sinasabi, 200 miles, nautical miles, exclusive economic zone ng bansang, di ba, sa treaty, hinati-hati lahat yung tubig ng mundo. No? Oh. Tapos sila, 570 ang layo. Paano tayo nagkaroon ng equal claim?
Sir, yung ang position ng government, di ba, Recto Bank is in undisputed Philippine territory, but still it falls within the 9-dash of China, sir. So,
Not the Spratlys, important.
yeah, Recto Bank, sir. So,
Teka nga, yung recto is not in Spratlys. Okay? It is 80 miles from Palawan. It is 576, more or less, from Hainan.
so is it no longer, but it's still being claimed by China?
Yan ang point. So, sinasabi natin, yung 9-dash cannot be reconciled with UNCLOS. So, babalik tayo. Kailangan may resolution yan. Napaka-importante sa atin na 82 signatory lahat. Pagkaintindi ko. 209, biglang magpo-protesta. Teka muna, hindi tama yung yung patakaran dyan. So may mga conflict resolution mechanisms. Tutuloy tayo doon sa pagre-resolve nito. Yung sa magagawa natin, hanap tayo ng kakampi. Pero ng
Exploitation sa recto.
so next yun. Next step, after you determine sovereignty.
So,
Hindi tayo mag-unilateral na lalo natin painitin yung sitwasyon.
Mr. President, Secretary Almendras mentioned that aside from the Rectobac, there are other potential natural gas reserves in the country. But you also mentioned yesterday that protectionism is one of the reasons that hampers growth. So having said that, what have you agreed upon with other APEC countries in order to encourage more investors to get into the Philippines and develop these potential reserves?
Parang magkaiba yata, Bernadette, yung concept. Yung protectionism kasi is you limit for instance, your imports normally. No? You protect your domestic industries. That's how it's normally applied. No? You protect your domestic industries by not allowing cheaper substitute goods to enter your market. Dito naman yung when we protect our interests in direct to bank, the investors would want to be able to say that they are being governed by a certain set of rules. No? And in the absence of those rules, therefore, their claim to being able to have a right to exploit it does not hold water. So, mukhang magkaiba yung concepts. In short, pag na-establish firmly natapos na itong mga dispute, then we are free to exploit our resources like they are free to exploit the resources. And that in itself, yung profitability of the venture is to a large degree the determinant of whether or not the investors come in. Our understanding of the surveys done on various gas fields shows very, very substantial deposits that are, yung energy security is the buzzword for all countries. And the energy companies would want to meet that need. So, by the intrinsic nature of the asset, they will be coming in.
Mr. President, such investments would involve a lot of capital. And pardon me for the ignorance, but have we changed our percentage of ownership when it comes to other countries investing in the country? And if we haven't still changed that policy, do we plan to make any changes in the future in order to encourage more foreign investors to get into the Philippines?
It's not the policy per se. My theory, it's not the policy per se that encourages investors to come in. Let me cite a case in point. Di ba China nga, hybrid system, may socialist Chinese characteristics. In China, they have a population of 1.3 billion people. They have 100,000 lawyers for the 1.3 billion. What does that mean? The rules there are not parang etched in stone. Policies can be changed upon the decision of their ruling body. Sa atin, more or less, mas klaro yung rules. No? But why will you go to China na hindi ganun kaklaro or can be changed rather quickly? Kesa pumunta ka sa Pilipinas na more or less mas mahaba yung proseso kaysa magpalit ng mga batas. Bottom line dun, it makes economic sense or it makes sound business sense for them to engage the Chinese economy which has 1.3 billion consumers. So I'll go back. There is demand for energy. We have that energy resource. Yung businessmen will go to anywhere where the rules somehow are clear. And it's not really a question of yung beneficial ownership. So long as they'll do the studies. We will be asked to put in X capital. We can have a return on capital or return on investment in X number of years. We will make X profits. Therefore, it is sound for us to go into this field. And it is not as challenging as the North Sea to extract this energy resource. The field is very, very extensive. They can think of a very long-term engagement there. Tignan mo yung Malampaya. Malampaya started somewhere in my mother's term. Pero kay FBR na yung actual na pag-extract. And we're still drawing from Malampaya up to now. Parang they're already going into the second phase to further capture the natural gas that's there. These new fields are supposed to be substantially more than Malampaya.
Okay, sir. On other issues, sir.
Kala ko mapaalam ka na kaya.
Sir, dun sa, finally, the Dominican Republic issued a clarification that the former President Arroyo did not seek for or apply for political asylum. how did you receive that clarification from that government?
Hindi ko pa nare-receive kasi yung I asked Secretary for Foreign Affairs with me, and I asked also the Secretary of Justice to verify, no, yung as far as possible, and to inquire exactly what transpired. There is an allegation na there was this dinner, there were certain things that happened, and I think it's just prudent on the part of the executive to explore all of these things. And what actually is the result of the investigation, I have yet to receive it.
But nonetheless, sir, they already issued a statement. What's your reaction?
They'll have to take it muna at face value unless I'm presented with evidence that contradicts it.
And also, the camp of former Arroyo are planning to file a disbarment case against Justice Secretary Laila de Lima.
Siguro, I'm sure Secretary de Lima in her private capacity can also file once that is resolved a case for ano ba tawag na, spurious or frivolous lawsuits.
Sir, follow up lang sa Sir, pinag-isipan niyo na ba, sir, yung house arrest or hospital arrest for Gloria Arroyo, sir?
Hindi naman ako korte. Korte magdedesisyon. Pag tinake jurisprudence, jurisdiction na ng korte, korte magsasabi saan dadalhin. Sa ligang batas nakalagay wala special detention centers. Pag, kunyari, okay, sa aking kagusto, pinayagan ko ospital, pinayagan ko bahay na walang kapahintulutan yung korte, pwedeng sabihin na binabiolate ko yung provision ng special detention center.
Sir, wala bang
Pwede kami humingi no, kung kakailanganin at sa payo ng kanyang manggagamot na makakatulong sa kanyang ganon. Eh kami magpipetisyon sa korte o sila magpipetisyon sa korte pag naglabas na ng warrant of arrest, kung maglalabas ng warrant of arrest ng korte.
Sir, hindi niyo ba nakikita ang national security threat yung pag-arrest dahil sa magiging reaction ng mga supporters ni Arroyo, sir?
Siguro meron rin threat kung hindi ignore naman namin nakakaraming nagsasabing meron ba tayong katarungan dito sa bansa natin o wala. Ulitin natin, yung uutos ko, ang papel namin, tingnan kung meron bang paglalabag sa mga batas natin. Suriin ng kagawaran ng katarungan kung meron nga o wala. Kung may makita sila, tinatawag na probable cause, idudulog nila magpa-file ng information sa korte. Korte magsasabing kukulong o hindi kukulong. Tapos maglilitis, non-bailable kasi electoral sabotage. No? So, sila magsasabi kung saan, kung ilalabas doon, kailangan may kapahintulutan nila. Kaya kami gagawin namin yung aming papel.
Sir, mayroon pong mga kalyado si dating Pangulong Gloria na magpa-file daw po ng impeachment case laban sa inyo dahil po sa pagbabawal sa kanya for violating the constitutional rights ni GMA.
Baka dapat umpisahan lang mag-file sila kay Ginang Arroyo na siya nagpanukala nung aming sinasite na MC41. Siya, yung Secretary of Justice siya nagpalabas nito. No? At kami naman, hindi kami ginawang bago, pero meron tao, hindi pa nga tayo umabot. Ano yung problema ng proseso natin? Mag-uumpisa ka muna sa may complaint, merong preliminary investigation kung saan nagkakaroon ng pagkakataon yung akusado na ipaliwanag yung kanyang posisyon. So, may affidavit of complaint, may counter-affidavit na pagsagot doon. Titingnan ng mga, in her case, yung panel of prosecutors, they determine yung probable cause. Doon pupunta sa korte, korte i-determine muli kung may probable cause o wala. Tapos mag-i-issue ng kaukulang mga kautusan. Ngayon, ang problema, November 13 pa, ano bang petsa na tayo ngayon? O ngayon. Nasa 13 ang deadline para mag-file siya ng kanyang counter-affidavit. Ngayon, pag nag-file siya ng counter-affidavit, intindihin muna ng mga prosecutor yung sinabi nila, baka mag-file pa ng kanya-kanyang rejoinder at affidavit bago magkaroon ng resolution. Resolution, hindi pa base, wala pa sa korte yun. No? Hanggang magkaroon ng, natapos nga yung resolution, pinahil yung information sa korte. Didiningin ng korte yung probable cause na aspect naman. In between, pag umalis yung tao na hindi tayo umabot, kung masasakdal siya at magkaroon ng arraignment, yung plead guilty or not guilty, hindi pwedeng tumakbo yung paglilitis. So, ang problema nito, umalis siya, hinto lahat ng pagre-resolba o yung tinatawag sa English na closure of this issue. At ang problema nga, ano ba yung tinutukoy na nangyari? Electoral sabotage in 2007. In 2013, we're gonna have another election. Hindi pa na-resolve, hindi pa na-restore yung credibility ng ating mga eleksyon. So, kasi hintayin natin kung alis siya, kung kailan siya babalik, para maumpisahan yung proseso. Importante yan, umpisa. meron ng 6 years bago matapos ang paglilitis sa bansa natin. So, siyempre, hanggang hindi mo naumpisahan, hindi tumatakbo yung 6 years. Okay lang pa natin matatapos to. So, 2013, natapos yung eleksyon, dumumpisahan. No? 6 years doon, 2019. O din natapos na yung 2016 na eleksyon. Hindi pa rin tapos itong issue ito. Nakatulong sa bansa yun. So, kaya ang sinasabi na namin, balanse mo. Karapatan niya mag-travel is one aspect. Pero paano na may karapatan ng bansa magkaroon ng yung pagbabalik, yung pagtitiwala sa ating pagkuha ng mandato ng tao na yun yung halalan.
Pero sir, confident kayo yung kung ano man i-file na impeachment case, may babasura lang sa Kamara.
Parang magsalita naman ako dyan, parang napakayabang mo naman magsalita eh. No? Alam mo, sa akin, no? Inisip ko lang naman. Meron kasing konsepto sa gobyerno at sa batas, tinatawag na yung presumption of regularity. Meron ba ako, ano bang inakusa? I prevented her from traveling. Unang-una, hindi ako naglabas ng order, alter ego ko. Pero more than that, ulitin ko, no? Ano bang basehan no watch list order? Yun yung Memorandum Circular 41 na pinalabas ng kanyang kalihim na katarungan. Okay. So, bakit ako sisisihin mo na unconstitutional to na hindi kami gumawa? Dahil ako na yung, ano matawag doon? Yung agent in successor. Successor in interest. Successor in interest. Bali, nung pinalabas nito at ginamit sa mga kalaban nila, sabi na constitutional. Ngayon na ina-apply fair, di ba? Yung applies to all or none at all. Kasama sila doon. No? Eh, biglang unconstitutional. Hindi pwede yan. No? Babalik tayo dito. Ang problema nga, pag hinintay natin na madinig sa korte, as paglalabas sila ng warrant to arrest, baka matagal-tagal na nakaalis dito. At yung mga tinukoy na bansa, hindi natin maiwasan. Lalabing 3 lang palang bansa na meron tayong extradition treaty. Kagad, di ba? Pag nag-isip ka, papagamot ka, tayo may colonial mentality. Kung di kaya sa Pilipinas, saka tutubo. Siguro, Amerika muna. Or baka if at all, umpisa, Singapore. Pero pag uumpisa ka ibang bansa, other than those, ano ba, pag-isip ka? Sabihin ko nga lang sa inyo, no? Kung ako pa, mas madali na sagutin siguro yung impeachment kaysa sagutin sa taong bayan na nagpaalam, magpapagamot, walang binanggit ng doktor, pinayagan niyo umalis. Mas mahirap yata paliwanag yung bakit ka naniwala magpapagamot siya na walang nilistang doktor. Huwag niyo kalimutan, kailan na lang sinabi yung doktor sa Singapore. Medyo mahaba-haba na yung palitan na sulat.
Ay, sir. Balik po tayo sa Apec, sir. Yung nabanggit po kanina ni Secretary Lacerda na pinupuri daw po ng leaders ng Australia at ng Japan yung inyong pamamahala. Ano po yung pakiramdam nyo? Si Secretary De Rosario po, na pinuri daw.
Mahirap yata. Hindi ko talaga ugali mag-comment pag may pupuri sa akin. Thank you na lang. Yeah? Or parang siyempre, alam naman papakit yung pakiramdam ko pag pinuri ka.
Apo, ano po kaya yung
Pero
ano?
more than anything, and whenever they say it to my face, I keep saying that it is not I, no? It is the people. Paano ba ako naupo dito? Kung di dahil sa kanila, kung di sila naniwala, walang nangyari. Pero nung nakaupo na, paano may mangyayari? Hindi ba yung pagtitiwala na, for instance, kay Secretary Alcala, na siseryosohin na hindi tayo mag-i-import ng sobrang bigas o nag-invest ngayon yung mga nasa sakahan ng palay. No? Kaya may 3 quarter tayo na bumper harvest na para napapalapit na talaga yung self-sufficiency, na nakalahati natin yung kailangan angkatin. O kaya naman na yung pag nagre-report sila kay Secretary Purisima, na makatiwalaan na nakikita nila. Dahil may tiwala sila na magkakaroon ng resulta dito. Sama na sa DPWH, etc. No? Yung, pag may nagpumuri, babalik ko lang, na kumbaga ako lang yung muka nung nagkakasundong sambayan kung saan tayo dapat tumungo.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you.
Pahabol, lastly, Mr. President. A recent report in Business Mirror indicated that you may be preparing to revamp your cabinet. What particular areas are you looking at?
No, alam mo, pag-revamp, as you go along, no, perhaps there were very critical assignments that have been stabilized or improved upon dramatically, that you'd want to utilize the talent of the person responsible for that elsewhere when there's a need. So, it was only that aspect na baka sakaling magkaroon tayo ng reshuffling. Pero walang, or baka magdagdag ng mga bagong pwesto or magtanggal na ibang mga pwesto. Pero, in the end point, and I stress that when the Business Mirror asked me, I stress that this is all in line with, first thing you admit is you're not perfect. Therefore, things change, and we should use the best talents available to achieve the aims at the quickest possible time.
Will this include the economic cluster, considering that our growth is a bit slow?
Nadya, pag sinabi mo our growth is a bit slow, can you point to any country where the growth is fantastic or exceedingly fast? And I guess you'll point out to China, and I'll tell you, China's also not reaching their 10% per year. The whole world is in a flux. Okay? So is it the gravity? No, there might be one or two members, no? But, that is, you do it when you, as America tayo nga pala, they have a nice phrase, eh? Why fix it if it ain't broke? And I think most, if not all of the team have been performing exceptionally well. I'll point to Secretary De Rosario as a case in point. No? Aminin ko sa inyo, was there confidence in our foreign affairs before he got into it? Sabihin ko na sa inyo, umpisa ng crisis sa Libya, they couldn't even give me the exact number of Filipinos in Libya. It ranges around from 13 to 26,000 people. Pag dinivide mo sa 100 na tao doon sa C-130 natin, malaking bagay yung mag-provisions ka for 13,000 or for 26,000. Yeah? Hindi ako nabigyan ng ambassador natin ng straight na sagot in any of the questions I had when I called him up. Now, in Secretary Del Rosario's case, self-starter and everything, and not because he's here. Nag-oath-taking. 2 days later, he's in Libya and he's fixing everything. Aminin ko sa inyo, ang laki ng tanggal na tinik sa akin na nagkagulo-gulo yung Middle East. Meron ako napakamasigasig, nakalihim, na inayos. No? Hindi kinumpuni. Talagang pati yung attitude ng mga inaasahan natin doon, binago. Instrumental siya doon sa pagka-release ng eninyero natin sa Yemen na kinidnap, na walang bayarang ransom. No? So all of them, in various fields, have come in. Look at peace and order, sa SILG. Yeah. And I challenge it. Pag may nasabi, tumataas ang krimen, ganyan. The statistics don't support it. And point out any sensational crime that was not solved rapidly. Meron, hindi ko sasabihin, 100% solution. May nakidnap pa tayong foreigners sa Mindanao ngayong 3, di ba? Pero tinututukan na, medyo nalalapit na rin tayo sa pag-solve. No? So, again, I really want to emphasize, there's no call because somebody's not performing. But rather, there is a need that we can find somebody as capable or more capable to put in. And therefore, we will ask this person who has spent the year and a half or so fixing his department. Okay na yan. Thank you, pare. Ngayon, iwan mo na sa undersecretary mo yan. Punta ka naman dito na magulo. Ito naman ang ayusin mo. Or ito naman ang pwede natin pagandahin pa. Yan ang context ng pagkasagot ko sa mirror. No?
Reports that there are people who may have some knowledge about the ill-gotten wealth of the Marcoses who are based here in Hawaii. So, what are your plans? Do you plan to have them deported back to the Philippines?
I'll have to ask the PCGG, yung status dyan. Kasi merong reports, merong unsubstantiated, I've come across something like 5 books talking about the Marcoses' gold. I've talked to one person who was supposed to be part of their staff 20 years ago, saying it's located ganito at ganyan. They have not really panned out. No? But the PCGG is winding up its operations to a degree. They're going to transfer to the various agencies like yung prosecute, etc. Can we just wait for determination of the report of Andy Bautista?
Actually, Mr. President, we've come face-to-face this afternoon with one of the close insecurities of former President Marcos, and even the members of the said group don't even know the addresses of these people. So, yun po. So, what are your plans?
They want to talk to us? Fine. No? They don't want to talk to us? We'll look for the evidence that can be the basis for extradition. It's not that we're taking our time solving this, no? But the assertion has been made that even President Marcos would not be in and his family would not be in possession of the entirety of knowledge. And part of it is, syempre, we file charges, we need the proper evidence. Ngayon, what gives us some comfort is the Constitution recognizes that there is no prescription period when it involves the recovery of ill-gotten wealth.